Me.
All right.
Oh, everything turned out okay.
Yeah, everything's good.
All right, good, good. Oh, yeah. So, was there anything you wanted to talk about when it come to the NFL week? Like anything specific, like game wise
Not
or anything?
nah, not in particular.
Okay, I didn't know. Obviously, there was a lot of things that happened. Certain teams got shut out, which is a bit shocking. Things like Cincinnati's offensive line looks like they might be in worse shape than the Colts. Uh, things like that, but
Yeah.
oh, yeah, I can't believe the Saints freaking. I mean, the Saints and Raiders game was almost exactly like the Jaguars Colts game from a few 24-0, right? That's exactly the same
Mm-hmm.
score. I'm like, holy crap! How does that happen? How does the team go from being as good as they were last year into the playoffs, and now they're just playing bad football, especially with the additions they've had? What's going on, Rodney? Everything go okay over there at the facility?
I had the wrong link. My bad. I was on
Oh,
the one from earlier.
oh.
Mhm.
All good, all good. So,
Yeah.
I do have a question. Yeah, when we talk about this upcoming or about Sunday's game, you had it got caught on camera where after a play you had a confrontation with one of the other defensive players, maybe Bobby O, and
Yeah.
didn't know if you wanted to talk about that a little bit or if you want to kind of pass that off and not really want to, kind of leave that out.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. I
Okay.
mean, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Jerraud know how I go, man. Just
Yeah,
heated a
I already
battle.
know.
Heated a
Oh,
battle, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And we wanted to make sure we all was
On the same page.
on the same
Everybody on the same
page. You
page.
feel me?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I know, I get
That's
that.
just the passion that we got, man. Like we want to win that bag. You feel me? So
Yeah, I know. I wanted to make sure it was okay with you. I didn't want to bring it up,
yeah, no
in the
Draymond, no
recording.
yeah, no Draymond, no Draymond.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not going to leave you hanging there, in a bad spot. So,
Cameras
also,
catch everything, boy.
yes, they do. They do. A couple other things that probably going to bring up. Obviously, uh, now you probably know because you was at the facility. Brady got fired, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So we'll probably talk a little bit about that. And there was a question on here about because I sent a Twitter question out, and someone asked a good question about the veterans that were brought in this past off season. Now that because a lot of you came here because of the fact that Matt Ryan was on the team, and now that he's not part, what's the mentality of those veteran players moving forward with the rest of the team? With Sam at quarterback. So uh because I get it. I mean, a lot of y'all said, you had Matt being part of the team as, one of the reasons to come, and
mm-hmm.
I understand that completely. And, but I wanted to give you a little heads up so you could, word it however you need to without, throwing someone under the bus or something of that nature.
Yeah, yep,
uh, all right. Are we all good?
Yep,
all
ready to go.
set.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Let me get to the videos. There it is. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cassidy, one of your Indianapolis Colts cheerleaders, and you're watching the Bleav in Colts podcast.
Welcome back to Bleav in Colts. I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, are my guys Jerraud Powers and Rodney McLeod, and we're coming off a pretty disheartening loss to the Washington Commanders, where in which we had a lot of stuff to discuss. Right, there was some self-inflicted wounds again, as we generally talk about on a week-to-week basis. It seems like this year, self-inflicted wounds, which ended up costing the Colts a victory. But overall, Jerraud, what do you think of the game this past Sunday?
I know. I mean, we talked about it being a defensive battle. I mean, that's what it came down to. I mean, at the end of the day, when it's low scoring, tight games like that, normally it's gonna come down to that last drive, and it's basically between what defense can make a stop at the end, and it was just one of them games. I felt so bad, just as a former player, and knowing how those type games can be and how it ended up. The way that it did, man, I felt horrible because, those guys on the defensive side of the ball played extremely hard, played good enough to win. Well, really not good enough to win because obviously we didn't. But at that same token, we played winning football at the end of the day. But, I mean, sometimes games go like that, close games, last minute type situations that happen. Offensively, a little better rhythm, still turning the ball over, a little bit. So, I mean, that still was the theme that continued this whole season. But I did think that Sam competed well. I think that he at least showed that, he can play on this league. He can play at this level, and he can, be the starting quarterback going forward. But we definitely wanted to win that one. It was just heartbreaking the way that we lost.
Yeah, Rodney, how's your feelings after the game, man? Because I know it's got to be disappointing, right? After the effort that you guys put out there.
Yeah, it was, that one was hard. I think for us as an entire team, particularly defensively, to play well for majority of the game, and now the ball is kind of in your hand to close it out, and we wouldn't want it any other way. And we didn't make enough plays on that last drive when they had the ball. And obviously, man, tough grab by McLaurin. I mean, Gilly's right there. I mean, I think, shoot, if I'm a betting man and Gilly's put in that position again, he comes down with it. But that's another great player, and you got to tip your hat to him, and also Heineke, man, for extending plays and finding his guy. So it was heartbreaking. It was hard for me to even watch the game, to be honest. I'm a guy who likes to watch the game, afterwards, that evening or night. But I couldn't stomach it, to be honest with you. It was one of those type of games where you felt like, man, everything seemed like it was clicking. The offense, found their rhythm. They hit their stride. We got some momentum. And 7 minutes left, we're up 16-7. And it's looking like it's going to be a celebration when we get back in that locker room. And the opposite, it was complete silence, man, just in shock, really, of what happened. And now, what I'm saying, I'm feeling better. My heart obviously was hurting the past couple of days, but you know how it goes, man. It's a 24-hour rule. Got to move on. You got to clear your mind and prepare for the next opponent, because it's the same mindset. I was talking to Matt Ryan about it. Regardless of success or failure that you have, that previous week, you got to reset. What I'm saying, and prepare yourself for the next opponent. Yeah. Whether you're coming off a great victory, you can't get too high on yourself and think that you got it, because you never have it, or whether it's a disappointing loss, the way that we had in closing seconds of the game, you got to pick yourself up off the ground, man, because nobody's gonna feel sorry for you, and get ready and figure out how you can get a win going into this next Sunday.
Speaking of this Sunday, it's another week of betting, and basketball is back. BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends on BetOnline. And as your continued source for all sports wagering information, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports and events, whether that's NFL, NBA, NHL, MMA, tennis, boxing, even golf. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code Bleav, that's BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts. I wanted to jump in real quick because there was some there was a little spot in the game where you and another defensive player had a little bit of an altercation, and you talk about it. Cameras miss nothing, and I was just wondering if you would like to let the fans out there know a little bit what was going out there on the field, what the heated discussion was going on, and stuff like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, you get into the game, and you're obviously out there to win. And I think one of those, Bobby. That's my little bro, man. Very very good player, as we all know, heavy hitter for our defense. But time to time, we have a lot of those moments throughout the season thus far. Where we don't see things necessarily the same way. And we gotta iron it out. He's a prideful guy. He's from Stanford. I'm a prideful dude. I'm from Virginia. So we both feel like nobody's trying to give. But in that moment, it literally was just about communication, making sure we was all on the same page. And it obviously, I mean, we won that down. But it's just heat of the battle, man. You get out there, emotions are running high. We're all trying to win, and we just want to make sure, look, there's no margin for error, right? The way that we're playing right now, and defensively, like, we understand that. So we can't have any mishaps, any misops. And so that's all that was, man. At the end of the day, it was a few seconds later, it was like, man, I love you, bro. It's all love here. We good. Everybody's just what I'm saying, just trying to win, dog. And it was cool.
Man, that's
no Draymond,
no,
man. No Draymond.
That's what I was about to say. I was about to say,
we ain't doing none of that.
Coming off the Draymond, but man, if the cameras could catch more of those situations, those little arguments on the sideline, it wouldn't even be a big deal now about stuff like that happening. It happens all the time. But the one thing I will say that's a positive when you see things like that is, it wasn't like, it was 49 points given up on the defense, and we got guys out there arguing, trying to figure out what's going on. We're talking about a defense that was playing pretty dominant, and guys are still passionate about going out there and making sure everybody's doing their job the correct way. So it's always a good problem to have, especially when you're playing good ball. It just shows that the players care.
Absolutely. You know what? There was we was talking about, those last two drives where, the defense gave up the 10 points and ended up losing the game. But of course the Colts offense didn't move the ball either. But here's something that is big time noticeable to me. That the pressure wasn't quite there the last couple drives, and it seemed like after Ty went down with that knee injury that a lot of the gas came out of that defensive line. How important has Tyquan Lewis been stepping in for Kwity Paye this offseason, or this season right now? And what's his loss? How does that affect the defense moving forward?
Yeah, Tyquan's a hell of a player for us. And man, my heart goes out to him. I've been in that position where, you battle back from one injury, and, injury occurs on that following season, right? And the opposite knee. So I've lived that, and, just keep him uplifted and encouraged, man. And he's meant a lot to our defense. Very versatile D lineman, can play outside, can play in the interior on third down situations to create a matchup issue, versus a guard. He has that skill set, man, and ability. And so, when you lose someone like that, it's hard to replace. But, that's the good thing about creating depth, right? Not having, we missed Quiddy for some time, but now he's getting close to, returning and coming back and being that player that he was, for us before the injury. And then you add, Ben and Dio and Fadi and all those guys, and guys have been getting a lot of playing time, man. So it's a next man up mentality right now. We're going to ask them to increase their rep count, be, productive for us the same way that Ty was. And not only in the passing game, but also Ty was very effective in the run game as well. So, it's a missing piece. It happens a lot in the league, unfortunately. And this is where somebody else gets the opportunity to shine, man. But like I said, Ty was an incredible player. And hoping that he makes a speedy and healthy recovery.
Hey, Jerraud, I got a question for you. With the loss, hold on.
Kids, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
That was fun. It happens. It's my grandbabies here, so I'll just have to cut that out. So with the firing of the offensive coordinator Jerraud today, literally like right before the end of the trade deadline, in your past experience, is that a bad sign when a move like that happens, like right in the middle of the season?
The only way I would put it as a bad sign is like we're in a position where we got to show some urgency to get things figured out on that side of the ball. So normally, when moves like this happen, it's coming from top down. So I'm pretty sure it's coming from Irsay and, going down the ladder or whatnot. And when you've been kind of inconsistent on the offensive side of the ball, and then the record is what it is. And like you say, it's a lot of pressure on, like we talked about it a few pods ago, to where it's a lot of pressure on certain guys in the building to make sure that this team performs at the level that it needs to perform. So once you start seeing coaches getting fired and things like that within the season, it just shows you that the whole front office is trying to show a boost of urgency to try to figure this thing out before it's too late at the end of the day. And I'm not going to sit here and say that it was the OC's fault, the reason why, things are the way they are, because I'm pretty sure he's not the one that's calling plays at the moment. But, normally when you're having, guys lose their jobs, especially in the middle of the season, it's not a great sign on how the team's doing, but it's also a sign of urgency trying to figure it out, because we're still in the thick of it. I mean, I know we lost this past week, but it still don't I guess change the fact that we still got a lot of football to play, and still in the middle of where we need to be as far as making it to the playoffs.
Okay. There was a lot of questions about that, actually. The OC's not the one calling plays. What is a scapegoat? That word's been thrown around quite a bit. But
I think it's just more of the situation. I don't want to say it's a scapegoat. Like you say, it's not just one person, they got all the problems. But what it does do, in my opinion, is just put more of a microscope back on Frank. Because now it's not going to be any other person you can kind of point the finger to, or whatever the case may be. But I don't want to necessarily look at the firing as a scapegoat, like this is the reason why the offense, hasn't performed at the level. I mean, everybody got their hand in it at the end of the day. But when you're losing games, when things kind of been up and down a little bit, at some point, people are going to start making moves and trying to, like I said, get this thing figured out.
absolutely, Rodney. I meant to ask this last week. I never really got to it, being there was so much to discuss. But with the Colts moving on from Matt Ryan midseason, there was quite a few veteran players that came to the team uh, because Matt Ryan was grabbed to be the quarterback, or at least was one of the reasons why they came in. And now that they have moved on from Ryan and have Sam Ellinger now listed as the starter for the rest of the season, I know you can't speak for the other veterans on the team that came in this past off season, but just in general, what's the mindset now moving forward with the new quarterback?
I think the mindset is you support, who's ever QB1. You support who's ever at any position on the team, right? Because as we know, nothing is guaranteed as you go into a season, right? Like injuries occur, changes happen, and it's a part of the game. And nobody necessarily signed up. You signed up to be a part of the team, and you do whatever is best for the team. And so, every player that we have, from starter down to the third string or the third spot, what I'm saying, backups, like you support everyone the same way, and it's a brotherhood, and we're in this together at the end of the day. So for us, nothing really changes. The mindset is championship. The mindset is uh, getting a seat, a ticket to the dance, into the playoffs. And so if we feel as though Sam gives us that best opportunity at this time to do that, then we support him, and we support everybody the same way, and we rally for him. And coming off this game, it was disappointing because I felt Sam played very well in his first outing as a starter. I think as the game went on, you saw his confidence begin to grow. He looked a lot more comfortable moving in the pocket and finding guys, and you felt, what I'm saying, the momentum, shift towards us, and it was just unfortunate that we as a defense kind of let him down, and let the offense down, and didn't allow him to get his first victory. But hoping that this Sunday, man, he'll be able to go ahead and get his first win as a starter.
Jerraud, is there anything you want to discuss about this past game or anything that transpired from it?
Nah, I mean that's pretty much the gist of it. I mean everybody know where we're at in the season. If there's one thing I would ask Rodney is just coming off a loss like that, close loss, a loss that we feel like we definitely should have won. You mentioned that in the locker room it was dead silence. What was the message once the leaders started to talking about moving forward and how you get over a loss like this? Because this type of loss can hurt the team. When I say hurt the team, I'm talking like more so emotional. Like this one you can feel for a long time because everybody knows how hard it is to win in this league. And when you got certain games like in the grips of your hand and it slips out at the end, it kind of can be devastating. So what was the message going forward on how to get over this hump?
Really, the message was, we honestly felt as though we beat ourselves, and the leaders on the team, the guys that we rely on, we have to do better. And I think the message was given to us by Zaire Franklin, and him really taking on and feeling as though the defense was responsible, for what happened. And, we don't take that lightly. We're a prideful defense. And, we understand that in those moments, man, we have to close the game out. Right now, we are the backbone of this team. And for us to now have that opportunity, at the end of the game, the way that we want it, we got to find a way to finish. And so moving forward, I think, going into the team meeting, it really just came down to how do we focus on the details and being critical of ourselves in all facets when it comes to technique. What I'm saying, are we being disciplined in a lot of areas? Because that's ultimately what it comes down to. Just looking at the tape, we just were undisciplined at the wrong times, and I'm speaking defensively specifically. And I think that message was poured into us as a team collectively. But we just have to we have to be better there, knowing that margin error is small. So just focus on the little things this week, lock back in, man, and get on the road and get a win.
All right, one last question from me about not necessarily the game, but today, the 4 o'clock deadline. What's it like for a player as a trade deadline goes down and rumors are starting to spread? I know you guys try to avoid that kind of stuff, but
Yeah.
teams are calling other teams talking about possibly moving players and stuff around. How do players deal with that? Do they just do their best to just be like, no, that's not really part of what's going on in my life?
I know from my experience, I mean, you definitely hear the rumors when you're talking about being traded. Sometimes it can come out of left field, and you might not see it coming. But a lot of times, your agent is going to be involved in some of those talks anyway. So for most, you kind of know what's about to happen or got an idea if it's going to happen or not. But as a player that's not about to get traded or not involved in the rumors, I mean, it's day-to-day business, man. I mean, at the end of the day, until somebody tells you different, you go about your job and your routine, as you would any other day. So it's something that I think every player kind of understands is just part of the business. You might wake up one morning and your locker neighbor might not be there, whether it's being cut, whether it's being traded or hurt or whatever the case may be. So as a player individually, you just kind of just focus on what you can control, and everything else, you just know it comes with the territory.
Okay. Okay. That's good information. Thank you. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode, where we kind of just went over the loss to the Washington Commanders. That was a tough one.
Tough one. Very tough.
It was the one game this year. I felt like the Colts. I felt like as a team, the Colts really. This was the game that they outplayed the opponent and should have won, and they let it go. And it hurts. It hurts. But hey, like Rodney said, it's just time to move on and prepare for the next game, and that's a hated rival for just about every team in the NFL. Thanks everybody for watching. This was Bleav in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. I'm Lawrence Owen, and that is Jerraud Powers and Rodney McLeod. And as usual, go Colts.
Do you Bleav?
Oh, that was rough. I'll give Rodney a moment.
Oh no, I'm good.
You're fine, man.
Oh man.
All right. Any games or anything that you got to see over this week, or you was just like, nah, screw this, I'm done?
Well, the thing was, it was a so we had the 4:00 game,
Mm-hmm.
so it was a little different, and I wasn't able to see, majority of the games. Caught a little glimpse because of the late start, but then because we played so late, got out, way the game went, I didn't watch much ball, and I caught. I'm trying to think, did I catch anything? Yeah, last night I definitely didn't catch.
You didn't get the Bengals Browns?
Nah, I caught a little bit of that Buffalo. I caught a little bit of Buffalo Green Bay. I did catch a little bit of that second half.
All right. Maybe we'll talk a little bit.
But
yeah. You can talk a little bit about that game then, if you'd like. I definitely want to touch on the Raiders being blanketed by the Saints. That they're just 2-5, and their expectations were way higher than that walking into the season, especially with the off-season moves that they've had.
Mm-hmm.
The Niners completely destroying the Super Bowl champions.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll let you guys lead. I'll let y'all lead, and I'll play off y'all.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cassidy, one of your Indianapolis Colts cheerleaders, and you're watching the Bleav in Colts podcast.
Welcome back to Bleav in Colts, and this episode we are going to go over Week 8 of the NFL, and wow, there were some games. Again, it seems like every week we're just talking about how some of these games just turn out not the way you expect. This is any given Sunday for any team, and I'm going to tell you what, Jerraud, this game, the first game I want to discuss in all honesty is the Niners. The Niners just taking it to the Super Bowl champs.
Yeah.
What'd you think of that game?
I thought the Niners looked good, like very impressive. But the Super Bowl champs starting to worry me a little bit. Or the defending Super Bowl champs, or starting to worry a little bit. They're just not clicking on defense like how their rosters say it should, if that makes sense. I mean, they got some great players at each level, and for whatever reason, it just like last year, it's just not seem to be gelling. And maybe down the road they'll figure it out. But even offensively, I don't know if defensive guys have caught up to Sean McVay's tendencies or whatever the case may be, but they don't look as sharp. Matt Stafford don't look like he is the same Matt Stafford of old. But the Niners with Christian McCaffrey, and I know we talked about him a couple weeks ago, just about like if a certain team gets Christian McCaffrey, what it can do for it. And I think I said, like, what if the Bills get Christian McCaffrey? But I didn't say the 49ers. Look at here. You got Christian McCaffrey over there with the 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo, who's the backup quarterback for the 49ers, who they tried to trade and get rid of and do all these things. Christian McCaffrey is about to make him look like an all-pro now, just because of the dynamic of their offense now. I mean, he got a guy that he can literally throw a 3-yard check down play to, and the guy can really take it to the house. So to see him with all these other athletes around him now with this great defense and all these type things, I mean, the 49ers seem like they're a team that, down the road now people are going to definitely have to deal with going forward.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, look, the Niners aren't bereft of talent by any means. Grabbing McCaffrey, that goes with Debo now and Kittle and all those guys. I mean, they got some weapons over there, and you talked about their defense. That front seven on that defense is scary. Very, very fast. And I love their defensive line coach. Obviously, they know how to produce coaches on the defensive side over there in San Francisco because they're –
D'Amico Ryan, the defensive coordinator, doing a hell of a job over there. Yep. I think this is like his third year as a coordinator or something like that.
So, that's a situation where, the Niners right now are 4-4, but after whooping up on the Rams 31-14, are they – you think that's a team that the rest of the league is keeping an eye on heading into the second part of the season there, Rodney?
I think so. I think that's the win that they need. I mean, it's a division opponent. I mean, we all know the past, few years, San Fran has really owned the Rams. And I think the addition to Christian McCaffrey without Debo Samuel on Sunday, they found a way to get it done. So now, Jerraud just said it. You have this great skill group that's very good when they get the ball in their hands, right? They can make plays in space. And that's going to be huge. You put McCaffrey and Debo both behind there. A lot of teams love this like pony look, where you could do so much. And so they're going to get very creative, man. I think they have the right pieces. You don't have to necessarily put too much pressure on Jimmy G because of the guys that he has around him. You talked about the defense. They're playing very well. So it looks like right now in that division, it's really probably going to come down to San Fran and Seattle. Seattle's playing good ball too right now, surprising quietly with Geno Smith, coming along. And, you forget about who used to be the quarterback there. You know what I'm saying? So Geno's, man, I'm happy for him. He got his opportunities, making the most of it. But I think, man, when you look at the Rams, you have to question, are they still hungry, right? Is that, are they now complacent? Was last year good enough for them, right? For a lot of those guys in that locker room, because it doesn't seem like the same Rams that we're accustomed to seeing. I know all year they've had trouble kind of figuring out the Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Allen Robinson trio, and it really hasn't planned out. You had Cam Akers, who's looking to get out of there. So I don't know. It just seems as if that same, maybe Odell was the key, man. He's a missing piece. And you got to think defensively, Von Miller, they lost somebody on that D-line that took some of the tension off of AD and some of those other dudes up front. So some pieces that they're missing, but I also question whether or not they have the same level of a hunger as they did last year.
Speaking of loss of hunger, man, after the Packers Bills game, it's what's wrong with the Green Bay? What's wrong? What's going on over there with the Packers right now?
Man, I can't put a finger on it outside of, I know the obvious. Everybody's gonna say, no Devontae Adams, no really established, wide receiver one over there for Aaron Rodgers to throw to, but that haven't, really stopped him ever from, winning games. So I'm not sure what's the one thing that's causing them to have these issues other than other teams around the league are getting better. Like everybody else is just as good now, where it used to be just a handful of teams here or there every year that you knew were going to be good. Now you look around the league, everybody's kind of 1-2 games away from each other. So it really looks balanced all across the board. And when it's like that, you can literally be beaten every Sunday if you don't come out and execute and do the things that you're supposed to do. And when you watch Green Bay play, and Aaron Rodgers speaks about it on Pat McAfee's show every Tuesday, it's just a ton of mistakes that you see that you're not really accustomed to seeing Aaron Rodgers led offense make. So if you're going to continue to make mistakes, and we're in week 8, week 9 of the season, if you're continuing to make the same mistakes all the way up to this point, you kind of, you are what you are, at the end of the day. So I don't necessarily see them getting that much better from where they are right now. I'm not saying that they're not going to go out and win more games, but I think they're going to struggle week in, week out unless they start executing better.
Yeah, I think that entire team is like really just in shock, as we all are. We're so accustomed to Aaron Rodgers just getting it done. And I think you look at Tampa and say the same thing. Tom Brady, like they're winners, and so it's surprising when you see them struggle the way that they have, and the losing streak right now is very concerning. And you think of every week that goes by, you put yourself in a huge deficit and hole because you have the Minnesota Vikings, who are looking like the team to beat in that division. So every game, matters. And Jerraud knows we're getting to that tell of the season, right? Like week 10, 11, you start to really see who are the potential playoff contenders, Super Bowl contenders, and who's going to be looking to make offseason plans, right? Like that's just reality of the business. So, you don't really have too many more weeks to figure things out. And eventually, like you said, you are who you are. So these next 2 weeks are going to tell it all for the Packers and a lot of teams.
Yeah.
I was going to say, no, you're right. Once November hits, man, that's when, teams start separating themselves from the pack. People start putting themselves in position for the playoffs, whether it's 1 seed, 2 seed, wild card, whatever it is, people start separating themselves. So Rodney's definitely right. This is around that time to where once you get over that halfway mark, those first 2 weeks of that season is going to determine a lot of people's fate towards the end of the year.
Absolutely. I've been waiting all year for the Raiders to turn things around, and they just hit rock bottom this week. Come on. The Saints, who are now 3-5, just blanketed the Raiders, who are now 2-5, 24-0. Okay. At this point, this is a team that, new head coach, things were supposed to be looking up. It should have been, went out, and speaking of the former Green Bay Packers and losing Devontae, they got Devontae and all this other stuff that's going on over there. They went out and got Chandler. I think it was, Chandler Jones. Right.
Yeah.
And I especially was expecting this team to be competing, at the top of the AFC. And at this point, you said it, we're walking into November, they're 2-5, and they just came off the worst loss of the season. How does a team like that come back from something like that at this point in the season?
From my experiences on being on, like, I was on one bad team, and that was 2011 coach year, after we lost Peyton and went through the whole, tank for luck type deal or whatnot. And even in a scenario like that, I want to say it was like 7 or 8 games we lost like by a touchdown or less, or like a 1-score type thing. So the only thing that I can think of that can really hurt that team going forward, if those guys start to believe that they can't win. When you look at the Raiders play, man, they're a lot better than what their record says. And I know they lay an egg this past Sunday, and I'm not saying that's normal unless, it's the Colts versus Jags. And I think we might be the only 2 teams that didn't let that happen. But normally, you can have a bad week in the NFL to where stuff is just not clicking. You can't put points on the board or whatnot. So, that can happen. But you don't expect a team with a roster like it has, the coach that they have, the players that they have, and for them to be 2-5. But when you watch the Raiders play, they're a lot better than what their record says. So I'm gonna think that they can, I guess, turn things around. I'm not saying that they're going to turn things around and make the playoffs or do anything like that, but they can definitely beat a lot of teams that's left on their schedule going forward. But it's going to matter if those guys still truly believe that they can go out there and win football games, because once you lose consecutively and then it becomes a recurring theme, it starts to seep in that locker room a little bit, like, oh man, no matter what we do, we're going to find a way to lose this type of game. And as long as that energy is not going around, those guys, they'll figure it out some way, somehow, because they just got too good of a roster, too good of a team for them not to.
Okay.
My opinion anyway. Tough division too, but that's my opinion.
Wow. The yesterday's game. I know that a lot of you weren't able to actually watch that game because of the situations that was going on throughout the team. But oh my goodness, Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, the offense, that offensive line looks awful. I thought they went out and bought one this past offseason. What happened to it?
They looked bad last year too, and everybody thought just because they made the Super Bowl that you can kind of forget those things. But yeah, this offseason I thought they made some moves to kind of improve that, but obviously the pieces are not the right pieces for that fit right now. But it looks like the same old problem, unless you get Joe Burrow some protection. He's going to take a beating week in, week out. You just hope that he doesn't get hurt, until they figure it out.
Yeah. Well, what about, so Jacoby Brissett played a really good game yesterday. They made Amari Cooper, Amari's having a really good, season. Obviously Nick Chubb's over there as well. But Jacoby, he was 17 of 22, 278 yards and a touchdown, and actually ran as well, right? Ran for a touchdown as well. But Deshaun Watson, it's coming up on that time. They're winning with Jacoby. What happens when that situation pulls around and Deshaun's able to play? Is there going to be a controversy there, or is it? Oh no, they put too much into Deshaun.
No question. Who makes the most money? Who makes the most money?
Facts.
Yeah, no, so it's gonna be who makes the most money at the end of the day. Deshaun is definitely gonna get his opportunity, and I'm not saying that, trying to be funny, but you give that guy that much money for a reason, and Rodney would tell you, once you're inside the NFL as a player, and you're like, you can see guys work, you can see the different levels of players and things like that. And I love Jacoby. I think Jacoby's a heck of a quarterback, man, and he's done a great job in the opportunities that he's given. But if you want to compare the two, Deshaun Watson's talent, it is what it is. Everybody knows, if Deshaun Watson's been playing football these past 2 years, he'll probably still right now be considered like a top 5 quarterback in this league. He hasn't played in 2 years, so that's the question. We don't know what he's going to look like. But you got to give a guy, his opportunity just off of the strength of the contract that he has.
But where will Jacoby be next year? That's the thing. I doubt Jacoby's going to want to be a backup again. Long term. Do you think that he's got a shot at with the way he's played to maybe get another shot at a starting position next year?
I'm sure that if a team, watches Jacoby and studies him and they like him to be the franchise guy of their team, they will come get him. But if I'm the Browns, I think you see across the league, you need two good quarterbacks on your team. And even though Jacoby might not, want to be a backup, don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, he's got enough tape out there to where if an organization want him, they'll definitely. It's not like we're talking about a young Jacoby, somebody that hasn't proven himself, somebody that hasn't been in tough positions as a quarterback, backup position. He first got his big break, in New England. That's where it all started. And, he comes to, Indianapolis backing up Luck, and then the Luck situation happened, and Jacoby handled his situation the best that he possibly could. I thought he played good football while he was here in Indy. So I think teams around the league know who Jacoby is, and if they want him, they'll definitely come get him. But Cleveland is not going to let him walk without somebody, putting a price on it. So
Absolutely. Philly still keeps rolling 35-13 over the Steelers, Rodney. Holy crap. That Steelers defense, granted it's without TJ, but still 35 points against that defense. That's got to raise some eyebrows, right?
Yeah, man. They're a tough team, and they continue to put good things on film and show why they're undefeated right now. And the play of Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, that connection, it was on full display on Sunday. He get a little disrespectful out there, like with the celebration. I'm like, man, he done pointed to two dudes. That's how I get down. I'm like, yeah, 3 weeks from now, we cannot be on that tape, that AJ Brown highlight tape. No way. But no, man, they continue to push forward. I text my boy Slay. I said, man, like, I'm getting tired of watching y'all, like, for real. You really got getting on my nerves.
Slay.
Yeah. But nah, man, wishing them all the best over there. A lot of good dudes, still in that locker room that I know very well. And, good to see them playing the way that they are. Gelling, man, clicking.
Look like they're having a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, when you're winning, I
That's
mean,
true.
That's part of it. That's part of it.
Yeah,
man.
absolutely. Well, I think that's probably going to do it for this episode, going over the week 8 of the NFL. Like I said, there was a lot of interesting things to discuss. Some teams are just, you're wondering what's going on with them. I know the pregame actually on, I can't remember, was it NBC or something, and they were pulling out the jerseys out of a washing machine, right? They were sitting there pulling them out, going, okay, this player's washed, this player's washed,
wow.
this player's washed. And I mean, they were pulling all Rodgers and Brady and all them out there, and I'm just like, oh my, wow,
that's what it is.
Yep. That's, well, I mean, it's about getting clicks and shock value when it comes to a lot of these shows. So
that's true.
All right. Well, thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed, please make sure you download, if you're listening to this, to any of your wherever it is that you listen to this on audio podcast. Make sure you hit the like and share if you're watching this on YouTube. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Jerraud Powers and Rodney McLeod. This was Bleav in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. And as usual, go Colts.
Do you believe?
Uh-oh. Now, I watched. Have you had a chance to watch the New England game?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I'm getting started today.
Today? Okay.
Once I get off. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sure you know quite a bit about New England. I mean, everybody kind of keeps their eyes sideways at them, don't they? I mean, isn't that how that works?
Yeah.
All right. Are we ready to do this, guys?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everyone. everybody. I'm Cassidy, one of your Indianapolis Colts cheerleaders, and you're watching the Bleav in Colts podcast.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Lawrence Owen. This is Bleav in Colts, and with me, as usual, is my guys Jerraud Powers and Rodney McLeod. We're going up against the dreaded New England Patriots and Bill Belichick, the hoodie monster, right? I mean,
It's a hoodie monster.
oh my goodness. All right. So the good thing is the Indianapolis Colts was able to defeat the New England Patriots the last time we played them last year. But before that, it had been a while. This is obviously a game where Colts fans, and I'm sure the organization itself has, a lot of, thought into this game. And it means a lot, not just because obviously it's a conference game, but it is New England. And, New England over the last 20 some years have been that, that powerhouse that always goes and wins Super Bowls. And, Bill Belichick is, the GOAT of coaches and things of that nature. And everybody wants to go in and put a W against this team. Jerraud, walking in, did you get to see any? What do you think of the New England Patriots so far this season?
I think they're going through I don't even know the right word to describe their situation. I mean, you look at last week, they played Mac Jones, and Mac Jones played well last week, and they get a big victory. But the 2 weeks prior to that, everybody was talking like there was a quarterback controversy, the backup should be playing and all that. I think it just comes back down to everybody just believing in Bill and just listening to Bill and doing what Bill asks. But I think the Patriots are trying to find their new breed of superstars, their new breed of who's going to lead this franchise for the next 10 years or so, all core guys. When you look at Tom, when they first kind of made Tom the face of the franchise. And I'm not even necessarily talking about that first Super Bowl he won, but a couple years after that, to where they started putting the ball in his hands and asking him to go win games. You look at the guys around him, they had a core where it was the same core guys for years to come, and kind of help set that foundation for the Patriots and that winning culture. And I think right now they're still trying to find a nucleus as far as just core young guys that's going to take the Patriots foundation, back to the promised land like they did with the other guys. So I still think they're very competitive. I still think that they're a very good team. They're just young in certain key positions, to where you're going to go through your ups and downs right now with some young guys. But once they figure it out, I think they'll be fine going forward.
Man, looking into this game, Rodney, they got a 1-2 hit at running back, Ramondre Stevenson and Harris, right? Give us a little bit of the difficulty that kind of a 1-2 hit brings when you have to game plan against guys like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think in any game, obviously when you have a team with a good rushing attack, that is the objective every week, is stopping the run. And so normally when you have feature two running backs, they both have kind of different skill sets in a sense, in a way that the teams utilize their running back. So I think for us, it's really just understanding each back for who they are, right, and their style, whether downhill, perimeter type of running backs. They have tails, right? But just like every week, we have to be gap sound. We have to get population to the ball. We have to be great tacklers. That's one thing that we've been emphasizing and we've done well over the weeks is tackle well. We haven't given up too much yards after catch, yards after contact. And so that is going to be huge this week, for us as we corral, these two great running backs that you spoke about. And just, Patriots in general, man, they're a well-coached team. And I talked, earlier about, for us, it's being disciplined, right? And that's going to have to show, and we're going to have to do that on a consistent basis on Sunday, because, Bill Belichick is the mastermind when it comes to defense, but how he coaches his team and makes very minimal mistakes and capitalizes when you do make those mistakes, whether it happens in the game or something that you've shown on film. So anything that we've had an issue with in the past, we're going to need to make sure it's fixed, it's handled going into this week as we go up to Boston, man, to try to get this win.
Jerraud, you were part of the team, man, back in the day when there was some serious stuff going on between the Colts and the Patriots. Won't you give Rodney a little bit of
history?
Yeah, a little bit there,
man. All right, my first experience with going to New England was like a crazy experience. So my rookie year, we played New England in Indy. And Rodney, I don't know if you remember, they still blast it to this day. This was the game where Bill Belichick, they had the ball like on their own 30, and it's 4th and 2, and he decides to go for it, and we stop him, end up scoring, winning the game late. They were beating us like by 21 points at half or something like that, and we came back and win. So great game, great victory. I balled out that game too, had a great thing. The very next year, we go to New England, man, and before we walk in the visiting locker room, Peyton pretty much get the whole locker room, I don't want to say investigated, but looked through thoroughly, just because you hear so many of the different rumors and the different stories about all the stuff New England does. This was around the time when they were getting caught for cheating and having microphones and all that type of stuff. So my experience in New England used to be like we were walking in like the Secret Service was with us type thing. And, we had to be careful. I remember literally at halftime, the offense, Peyton had took the offense and made them meet like outside of the visiting locker rooms, just because everybody was so paranoid about, if they have spies or if they're doing this or doing that. So when it comes to the history with the Colts and the Patriots, and then you fast forward and you hear about the Deflategate and and all those type things, it's just crazy how the rivalry always connect in some type of form or fashion. And it's a reason why the Patriots hate the Colts, and it's a reason why the Colts hate the Patriots, because we feel like we've had so many great teams in our history and over the past year, especially when Peyton was here, man. So many great teams, and it was always like the Patriots and the Steelers that were stopping us from getting to the bowl. So it just added to the fuel. But I always loved playing in this game because it gave me a college feel. Two teams that hate each other, two fan bases that hate each other, but the respect was always there. They always knew how good of an organization and a team that the Colts were, and vice versa. We knew exactly who we were dealing with as well. So, Rodney, your first taste of the Patriot-Colt rivalry, I'm pretty sure it'll be a good one, but you're definitely going to enjoy that atmosphere. I know you've probably been to New England as as an Eagle guy and a Rams guy and all that. It's different, though, when you walk in that building with some Colts gear on. They literally hate anything white and blue when you walk in that building.
I appreciate that insight right there. It's real. It's real. You got to understand what you get yourself into, and the history behind all of it. You know what I'm saying? Is most important. So I'm looking forward to it, man, and definitely we gotta hold it down for the legends, man. That's for sure.
Oh, definitely, because it'll like Jerraud said, man. There's divisional games, but then there's that game, and whenever that game happens, it's on a different level. I mean, the feeling of the fans, and I'm assuming, I haven't been to Gillette, but I assume that's probably pretty darn electric out there when it's a Colts Patriots game, because
yeah, it's electric. It's good playing at that stadium too. Like I said, they got a great atmosphere, but they hang their hat on championships. So everything that they're doing is based off winning championships, and you got to respect it from that perspective. But like you said, it's an electric atmosphere. It's a fun atmosphere to play in as a player. You're definitely gonna have a good time as a player.
At least it's you're not playing there like in January right now, right?
I, but sometimes, Lawrence, I mean, those are the type games that you'll be like, man, that was fun. In January, it's cold. It's the type of game that you always kind of watch as a kid or watch as a football fan coming up. So even though, as an opponent, I mean, for the Patriots' sake, January, nobody wants to go to New England in January, but as a player, oh my gosh, I mean, that I remember being in Baltimore my last year. I'm playing for Baltimore, and I want to say it was like December 12th or something like that when we had to go to New England and play. And so it was 30 degrees, 20 degrees. It was cold and everything. And I mean, it was probably one of the most fun games that I've been a part of because it was everything that you kind of know New England to be, playing against them when it means something in December, January, fans going crazy. They hate everything that you do. So it's a fun place to play a game as a player.
Now, Bill Belichick has been known, especially against the Colts, to find a weakness on defense and exploit it and put the foot down and not let up, right? We've seen it in the past where he'll walk out there with 6, 7 offensive linemen the entire game and just run it down your throat, Well, you remember those days, right, Jerraud? I mean, that's the kind of stuff he does. The Colts, though, lately, there's been question marks on, having that, especially over the last couple years, about having that killer instinct, right? About putting your foot down and finishing a team off. You can't walk into this game without that killer mentality, or Bill Belichick will reverse that on you in a heartbeat. When you're playing against a team that is as well coached as Bill Belichick's teams generally are, is it like you said earlier, is it all about not making the mistakes that end up causing issues, or is there like I don't know what else to talk about in that specific, but when facing against a Bill Belichick, what is the biggest thing you think that's most important to make sure that you win?
For me, like I said earlier, it's just us being disciplined in our technique, our fundamentals, our eyes, our communication. Every part and facet of the game, we have to be extremely detailed, focused, and disciplined on because, as I said, uh, going against them at probably the in the Super Bowl, with everything on the line and Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, those are the ways that they try to attack us defensively. Everything that we struggle with, or they could potentially exploit, or teams have exploited in the past, they had a plan for and a way to attack us per drive. And so it was very interesting as you're going through it, you're seeing it, but going back and replaying it, I mean, it's impressive. And clearly, dealing with the Super Bowl, you have a lot more time to prepare, now, in the regular season. But that is his mindset. That's how he thinks. And so for us, it's just understanding that, you got to understand your enemy the best and understand how they're going to try to attack us, and just be prepared. At the end of the day, we fear no man. We go out there. We feel confident in our ability to go out there and win. We just got to go prepare all week. And when it comes to Sunday, you have that killer mentality as we go into Boston, man.
Absolutely. Jerraud, yeah, this will be the second start for Sam Ellinger. There's obviously Bill Belichick's going to have a lot of plans against him. What can the Colts do to make things a little bit easier on Sam going up against a Bill Belichick-led defense?
Probably the best thing this week is just making sure we're getting the ball out of his hands quick, making his reads very clear for him. You don't want Sam versus a Bill Belichick style defense, an inexperienced quarterback versus a Bill Belichick style defense, and not have a plan that's going to put him in the best position that he can be to help this team succeed. And you look on the other side of the ball, they got one of the best pass rushers in football in Matthew Judon. I mean, he's been wreaking havoc, his whole career since he's been with Baltimore. So I'm pretty sure, he's kind of licking his chops a little bit, and especially with our O-line having issues in the past or whatnot. But you got to expect Bill Belichick to try to make this thing as complex as possible for Sam, because he knows that if he gets Sam to sit in the pocket and patting the ball a little bit, it's going to work in his favor. So I just hope that we can get Sam in a little bit of rhythm to start the game, and then after that, let the juices flow, because like Rodney said, you saw last game as the game went on, Sam just looked more comfortable, as the game progressed, and then he started to make plays naturally with the ability that he knows how to play with. And I think this game is going to be the same. We're talking about, a guy's second career start and his first road start, and we're talking about going to Gillette Stadium. So we know the challenge it's going to be. So we got to make sure that we help Sam out as much as we can, and that's from a defensive standpoint and a coaching standpoint.
Absolutely. I don't know if I should ask this question, but I want to. Who's the toughest wide receiver on the Colts to cover, Rodney?
The toughest? I think you gotta go with Pitt. Physicality, ability to catch in tight radius, has a skill set to elevate as well, catch the ball at a high point, man. He's proven. And ultimately, like, he's a competitor, man. He's not going to back down, no matter who you are. And I think when you have that mindset that, like, I go, what I'm saying, that makes you got a chance every single time you line up because of the way he thinks. And I think that's a lot of his game.
Awesome. Yeah. That explains why, no matter who's been at quarterback, they are targeting Pitt quite a bit every single game, and he gets open. He had that one drop. I'm sure after that drop at the end of the game last game, I'm sure he was absolutely distraught, and because that kind of thing happens though, and you just got to move on from it. Hopefully we won't have a lot of those issues upcoming, because you can't have those kind of issues against the New England Patriots. You can't have fumbles and turnovers and holding calls and false starts and things of that nature, not against the Bill Belichick team. So in my opinion, we got to play a very clean game. And I think that's probably the biggest point to winning this game, is playing a clean game. Would you guys think that's probably it?
Yeah, that's the main thing right now. And and even though we're saying that's what we need to do, I think everybody's kind of preaching that same message across the league. Because when we talk about, you just look at the scores across the league and how people are playing, man, it's a low scoring type year.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of either defenses are playing just great ball right now, or offenses are just playing bad. And I'm going to be on the side to where I'm going to say majority of the defenses around the league right now are playing some damn good football. So you can't afford to beat yourself in any type of tight game situation. And every Sunday, it seemed like every game is a tight one right now.
Absolutely. Hey, Rodney, when you're having to deal with a quarterback like Sam, as opposed to a quarterback like Matt, when Sam's got that mobility, what does that add as a defender when you're having to defend and keep an eye on that at the same time?
I mean, you seen it on display this past week. Unfortunately, you have to stay in coverage. You have to cover longer, right? You have to plaster. All those factors. You can cover a guy good for 4 seconds, and next thing you know, quarterback escapes, and he points to him and redirects him to go a different direction, and now it's a completion. And that's the skill set that Sam has. And I mean, it's something that you have to prepare for, that you have to make sure that you place emphasis on as a defense, both defensive line and guys in coverage, right? When you go against a guy like a Sam, your rush lanes are very imperative. Jerraud talked about it earlier. Contain, keep him in the pocket, make him a pocket passer, not a passer on the move. And it ultimately can work in our favor, right? But the minute you're undisciplined in your rush lanes, you create step up lanes, or you don't have the edge set. Now he extends the plays. And then us on the back end, understanding that you might have to cover a little longer. So you got to make sure at the end of the day, you keep your eyes on your guy just a little bit longer. Don't get too nosy. And you got to just play to the end of the whistle.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. Well, we're going to go ahead and begin the discussion of who's going to win this game and by how much. Rodney, are we getting another dub prediction here?
Yes, sir.
All right. Jerraud, I'll go first this time. I'll take you off the hook a little bit. I am liking the Colts' chances in this game, believe it or not. A little bit of experience with Sam under center last week. I think I got a lot of the jitters out from underneath of him a little bit. I don't think he'll have that problem in the first half the way it was sitting with him last week. I think that the offense could be opened up a little bit more as well. I did notice as I was going through some film that there were some opportunities downfield that Sam missed. And I think that he'll see those opportunities more often in this game than what he saw him in last game. I could see the Colts winning this game, but they need to be, as we talked about, they got to play a clean game here. You know, you can't leave points on the field. I got the Colts winning 24-17.
Okay. I like that. 24-17. It's about where I was kind of headed, but I'm going to say 27-20 Colts.
Oh, there you go. All right. Now, come on, guys. Let's get this dub. Been needing one. We need to get back to 500 so we can start, on our push, making this run. Absolutely. Freaking lootly. All right. The season's not over with. We're one game out of 500. Come on now. We got this. All right.
A lot of football, Lawrence. A lot of football.
Absolutely. All right. I think that's going to do it for this episode of Bleav in Colts with Rodney McLeod and Jerraud Powers. This brought to you by Bet Online. And until next time, as usual, go Colts.
Do you Bleav?